Hello and welcome to another Hangout on Air with the Google Small Business Community. My name is Rachel Sterling. Perhaps the only thing more important for a small business owner than finding a new customer is turning that customer into a loyal one. So today we're sitting down with Lauren Licata to learn how you can use customer loyalty programs to help you grow your business. Lauren, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So fill everybody in. What is Belly and what do you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Belly, we are based in Chicago, Illinois. So I'm thrilled to be here because I hear we're having our first snow this weekend.
And you can stay.
And I may, move in here. It's a nice studio. So Belly is the largest and fastest growing digital loyalty platform in the United States. And our mission is simple. It's to make businesses personal by learning who their customers are so they can run smarter marketing programs that'll bring their customers back into their businesses more often. And my team at Belly focuses on growth and retention of our merchant partners. So small businesses, how do we get them to use Belly's tools to the best of their ability so they can retain more customers at their business.
And I am a Belly user.
You are?
Yes.
My
My favorite taco place in San Carlos has a Belly card and I consistently get my punches.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I know that you've watched these Hangouts before and you know this question is coming. If you could have a Hangout with anyone in the world, who would it be and what's the most embarrassing thing you would ask them?
This question really stressed me out. I changed my answer like 3 times.
Don't stress out.
But I landed on Vivian Maier, and for those not familiar with her, she was a nanny, but she was also an amazing street photographer. And she did a great job of capturing American life between like the 50s and the 70s. And the thing about her is she was a nanny and she was kind of a recluse and a hoarder. And her work really wasn't discovered until after she passed away. But if you haven't heard of her, check her out. Her work is awesome.
I hadn't heard of her until you brought her up, and I did look her up, and she really captured an amazing slice of American life through her street photography. It was really amazing. So you can do an image search for her, Vivian Maier, and look her up. Okay, so let's start today's conversation with a definition. Can you please explain to the community what exactly is customer loyalty?
Yeah, so there's a lot of definitions floating around out there, but at its core, loyalty is really just a customer's belief that your business is the best option for them. And it could be for a variety of reasons. It could be something simple like convenience. It could also be quality or the value that they think they're getting. But it really is the likelihood that they will choose your business again and again.
Okay, and what is customer loyalty for small businesses?
Yeah, so for small businesses, especially the ones that we work with at Belly, it's really about driving that frequency. So how often is a customer coming into your business? And what we advise our merchants at Belly is to really just focus on the customer experience before, during, and after the sale, and making sure that they're putting their customers first.
Okay, and so let's talk about value of loyalty. Small business owners have identified that the #1 thing they need help with is attracting new customers. Research has shown that existing customers can actually be more valuable for small businesses. Why is a repeat customer more valuable than a new one?
Yeah, it really comes down to the fact that over the lifetime, a loyal customer is going to spend 10 times more with you. So they're really just a more profitable customer. And then the longer that you can retain a customer at your business, the more ROI positive they're going to be. So then someone who, say, comes to your business one time and then disappears, it's really important to drive those repeat visits. Something I thought was really interesting, though, is that there's a publication out there called Street Fight, and they surveyed small businesses about what their #1 marketing priority was, right? And so in the first year of business, 80% of small business owners said that customer acquisition was the most important thing to them, where I think only 8% said customer retention.
Well, they're just starting.
They're just starting.
They need to find their customers.
So it makes sense that that's where the priority lies. But the interesting part is that the longer a business has been around, the more focus they're going to place on customer retention, excuse me. So by year 10, if you're in business for 10 years, which I hope that's the goal of any small business owner, is to build a long-standing business, it really switches and their focus becomes more on customer retention. So they can really get ahead of the curve if you start focusing on both acquisition and retention early in the game.
Okay, and so let's talk about loyalty for SMBs.
Yeah.
There is a 2015 study by Colloquy Loyalty Census that says that U.S. customer loyalty programs hold 3.3 billion memberships, which is a 26% increase from the last census in 2013. Considering all of the emails that I get in my inbox, I'm probably one of those people who has way too many loyalty memberships. Why is it so important for small businesses to tap into doing a customer loyalty program?
Yeah, that's a good question. So customers who are being rewarded are going to spend more. And there's been lots of studies and surveys out there that say this is true. And the one I'm going to call out here is from a company called Points. They're a loyalty currency provider. And what they showed was that 54% of customers said that they will spend more when they're being rewarded. So that's a really important thing for small businesses to keep in mind if you want your customers to spend more money. The second is that building a one-to-one relationship with your customers is really important. It's important for a lot of ways. Not only is it good business practice, but it's also going to be a good investment for you as a business owner to be able to understand who your customers are, what their buying patterns are, what their visit history is, so that you can try to change that or influence it in a way that's good for your business.
It's also a feedback loop. If you know what your customers think about either the services that you provide or the goods that you offer, you can buy appropriately. And so you keep your costs down.
Yep, absolutely. Very true. And the last is that customer acquisition is just really expensive. It's 5 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. And so that's where a program like Belly comes in, is helping small businesses to retain their customers for a longer period of time and driving that frequency. So how often a customer is visiting that business, that's where a loyalty program comes in.
I definitely want to hammer in that point, because I think that I know for small business owners, particularly if you've never done any sort of marketing, your initial reaction would probably be like, well, I need to just get as many customers as I want. But what you're saying is it's actually more affordable to retain the customers you have than it is to go out and find new ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the different types of loyalty, because I know that I think we all see loyalty programs all day long, and we just don't necessarily always identify, oh, that is a loyalty program that I've engaged in. So what are the different types of loyalty programs that an SMB, a small business owner, can use?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different kinds of programs out there, and I'll go over a few of them. And something to note is that they're not mutually exclusive, right? So they can kind of fit together nicely. One I'll call out is a points-based program. So that would be like Belly, where a customer can accrue points that they can then redeem for rewards.
I accrue tacos.
And tacos, pizza, I mean, whatever. And so they can be based on visits, or it can be based on spend. Another one would be a spend-based program. So that would be like a card-linked program where your credit card is linked to an account, and when you spend a certain amount, you get cash back on your credit card. And then there's tiered programs like Sephora or Starbucks, right? And so I am a proud VIB member at Sephora. And so basically I spend enough money a year so that I can unlock this next level of rewards, this next level of events and service. And so it's really important for me as a customer to kind of reach that level. And for small businesses, this is a great way, by offering a tiered program, to kind of provide that aspirational goal for your customers to kind of get to that next level, to get a superior level of either service or rewards. And then the last really common one is a discount program. And you'll see that at your grocery store, your CVS, where you're really getting dollars back or discount right away. And, CVS, they'll give you, the longest receipt in the history of receipts.
Well, I also know about all the little cards, like the key fobs, where you get your points off if you've got your key fob. And that is a loyalty program also.
It is, absolutely. And yeah, like I said, so you can kind of, they are not mutually exclusive. So you could have a points-based loyalty program that's also tiered, for example.
And so let's talk about different options. According to a McKinsey study, the average US household has more than 18 loyalty memberships and actively uses 1/3 of them. I'm embarrassed to admit how many I've abandoned throughout the years. Consumers are very familiar with the concept of loyalty programs, but they often associate these programs with offers, like you talked about, free product discounts. And like some of the companies that you did mention were bigger companies. If I'm a small business owner and I don't have a lot of cash and my margin for profit is really small, what are some low-cost options that I could pursue if I wanted to do a customer loyalty program?
Yeah, this is something we run into a lot, especially a small business owner starting out. They feel like they're giving away free product, or they just can't afford it. And while we do see the most success with businesses who offer a mix of monetary, so think like a discount or free item, and experiential rewards, we will of course encourage that. But what we found is that experiential rewards can be really powerful. So providing a special moment for a customer, a special experience that they couldn't get just with a discount, is really popular, especially among the millennial crowd. And one thing I want to call out is really cool. We just published a blog post and did a video on this. One of our merchants that we work with is called Classy Girl Cupcakes. They're in Milwaukee. And one of
I love that name.
Classy Girl Cupcakes.
Yeah.
So one of their rewards was that if you accrue enough points, you can get a one-on-one session with their head decorator, and you can build your own or design your own cake. And so one of our Belly members, Matt, designed this awesome cake. It almost looks like the Swiss Alps. And for him, the feedback we received was that it was just a really special experience since he's visiting anyway. He's buying cupcakes every day. I think he said as he was saving up, he was going there to study, and he would have a cupcake. That was like his reward.
I hope he has a loyalty program at a gym too.
I know, me too. Matt, if you're listening, please. But he really enjoyed that experience and appreciated that that's how the merchant gave back. And the other thing I'll call out too is that you can gamify your loyalty program. So Belly, we have a product called Games, which is really cool, that offers an element of surprise and delight to customers. And so how it works is that as a merchant, you can set your odds. It could be 1 in 10, 1 in 50 check-ins earn a prize or a reward, right? And so we work with some tropical smoothie franchises, and they've had really good success with this in that they've been able to reduce the time between visits by 50% by offering this Games product. And how they promote it is they would say, they would send an email campaign to their loyalty members that says, come back on Sunday between these hours for a chance to win X. And it really drove frequency for them.
The whole world has moved mobile.
Yep.
And mobile is where games are most powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can incorporate some sort of a loyalty aspect to a game that you create, it's a win-win.
Yeah, it provides personality, and then that surprise and delight is really cool too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some best-in-class examples, because we know that the folks in the community love to hear about what other people are doing so that they can take some of that and apply it to their own business.
Yeah.
In your experience, in your time working at Belly, what are some of the loyalty programs that you've seen that have performed really well?
Yeah, so can I say all of our customers? Is that?
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm going to call out a couple examples for various reasons. At the end of the day, any loyalty program that's going to put the customers first is going to succeed, right? So when we did an analysis across our network, and we saw that loyalty programs that offer a variety of rewards at different point levels are going to work best because they're going to appeal to a wider audience, right? So having low point values that are maybe monetary, a discount off, a free coffee, all the way up to the aspirational, experiential, or creating a moment for your customers. But it also is going to depend on what type of business you run. So for a restaurant, for example, offering a free item after 5 to 10 visits is really powerful if it's an item that people want.
Mm-hmm.
And so we work with a business in Tacoma, Maryland called Capital City Cheesecake. And what they do is they offer a mini cheesecake. I think it's after 5 visits, and it's their signature product. It's one of their most redeemed rewards, and it really gives their customers a taste of their best product or service.
And if I'm a customer and I'm saying to myself, I need to pick up a dessert for a party, am I going to go to the place? Am I going to go to the supermarket that probably does not have a loyalty program like this? Or am I going to want to keep ordering my cheesecakes from this one bakery so that I can get my free cheesecake?
Absolutely. And it's also, this trend toward consumers are shopping small, and they want to support the local business. And so this is a way for local businesses to give back. And the other thing I'll call out about Capital City Cheesecake is they do a great job of building customer advocacy on social media. So through Belly, you can actually drive your customers to your Facebook page or your Twitter page right from the iPad or the mobile app. And then on social media, it's kind of good if you're a restaurant because they can share delicious photos of cheesecake or baked goods. But they do a great job of showcasing their product there. And then also, just kind of interacting with their customer base. And then retail, what we've seen is effective there is a percentage off, right? Mm-hmm. So the example I'll call out is a 4-location boutique. It's actually right here in the Bay Area. It's called Live Fashion Boutique, and they offer a 50% off of one item, and I have notes here that it's after 10 visits. So that's a pretty good deal. You visit 10 times, you get 50% off any item in the store.
I can't buy anything anymore unless it's on sale.
Me neither.
And it's really funny because it's all mental, right?
Yeah.
Like it's probably priced the same exact way if they didn't have a sale, but I can't buy it unless it's identified as a sale.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah. Well, it's good, but I feel like I'm getting a deal. But
yes.
Probably not.
But that is the genesis right there.
Right.
That is the crux of what customer loyalty is you're letting your customers know that because we love you, you keep coming back, we're giving you this deal.
Right. Absolutely. And So adding on to this experiential reward that I keep talking about, or creating like a special experience for your members, something else cool that Liv does is that after 15 visits, they will host a styling party for you and your 5 friends.
That is so cute.
And then they get, after when you come to the styling party and they put you in, the best outfits, you get 30% off your order too. So it's a really cool way to kind of bring your friends together. I mean, it's also a referral program for them, right?
You're
So
using bringing your best people to do word of mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then moving on, salon and spa complimentary services work really well. So in Chicago, there's a salon that offers a free makeup touch-up or a quick 15-minute massage. How nice is it when you go to the nail salon and get your manicure and you get a quick little chair massage? So that's another way to kind of give back. And then, I know the examples I've talked about so far are brick and mortar physical location, but if you don't have a location and there's other things that you can do if you sell a product online, you could offer free shipping for your loyalty members, for example, or provide a gift card. It's a great little way to kind of give back.
And I want to clarify that these are not discounts that you should be giving out to get people in the door.
Absolutely.
Because then you're probably not going to make a profit. You're undercutting that. These are rewards and discounts for the people who continue to come back to your business. They've already established that they are your customers and you're rewarding them for that.
Absolutely. These rewards are so that you don't see a drop off in your current customers. It's rewarding them for their loyalty and kind of keeping your business at top of mind so that they keep coming back to you.
Okay, so let's talk about measurement, because everybody always wants to make sure that whatever they're doing actually works. According to Forrester Research, there's a 13% average increase in basket size when points or miles are offered. How can small business owners measure the success of their customer loyalty program?
Yeah, it's a really great question, and it comes back to the stat I mentioned before about that Points did, where that customers are spending more when a loyalty program is offered. And the way to think about it is that you should be measuring the success of your loyalty program just like any other marketing initiative out there, right? So there's a few ways that you can do that. The first is to understand your new versus your returning customers, right? What is a healthy percentage at a small business? Across our network, we see about a 48% repeat customer base. And our most successful businesses are seeing a 70% plus return rate.
That's fantastic.
And so it's really important to understand that metric. And if you don't today, that's where companies like Belly come in to help you figure that out. The other thing is to understand the number of visits or purchases a single customer is making. So how long at your business? So how long are you retaining that customer? And what did you spend to acquire them? And obviously, the longer that they're with you, the more ROI you're going to see on your initial upfront marketing or operations costs. And then at Belly, we focus heavily on customer visit frequency and how we can help lift that. So we look at a loyalty program's ability to increase how often customers are coming in the store and seeing if we can reduce that time between visits. And so we did a recent analysis. Our data team looked at all of our verticals, right? And we saw anywhere between a 19 and 32% lift in customer visits, depending on the vertical. So every vertical is going to be different, but that's kind of a baseline.
So if a small business owner were using Belly to manage their customer loyalty program, you do have tools in place to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an amazing analytics dashboard that shows your new versus your returning customers, their gender, their visit history, things about them that can help you, run these smarter marketing programs that we're talking about.
So let's talk about tools.
Yeah.
What are some of the tools that small business owners would use to measure the success of their program?
Yeah, so they can use a few different things. So one is with Belly, we have the dashboard that they can actually see what their new versus returning customers are, how many loyalty members they've acquired. And I have some favorite tools to kind of drive customer loyalty at the business. The first thing that's really cool is being able to automate offers to your customers based on their visit history or their purchase history. So with Belly, we offer a product called Auto Engage that does this for you, because we all know the biggest thing we hear from feedback from small business owners is they're super busy, right? They don't have time to run their marketing. And so we help do that for them. So an example would be, let's say you have a customer that's coming into your business every day or every 3 days.
That's a good customer.
That's a good customer.
Yeah.
Me at a coffee shop. But let's say all of a sudden their behavior changes and they're not coming back and you don't see them for 30 days. We will send out an offer automatically on behalf of the merchant that says like, a we miss you offer, come back to redeem this. And our merchants are having really great success with this product. So we work with a frozen yogurt chain called YoFresh, and they're in Pennsylvania. and they have been running an auto engage offer, and through that they've seen 45% more customer visits in a 30-day period, and they came back twice as fast. So they were able to drive, I'm looking at my notes here, an additional 178 visits to their store in a 1 month period.
Just from a simple prompt of "We miss you. Come on back."
Just from a simple offer in this format. She chose email. You can do mobile as well. Another thing that's kind of interesting is using a little psychology here, and offering what I'm calling a first visit boost to your customers when they join your loyalty program. So let's say a customer signs up. Instead of giving them, the traditional 1 punch or 5 points or whatever you offer, give them a little extra, right? So instead of giving them 5 points, give them 10 or give them 15.
A welcome present.
A welcome present.
Yes.
And this is basically nature that the closer that we are to a goal, the more effort that we're going to put in to get there. So when you offer this little extra boost right away, a customer is going to feel closer to a goal, and they're going to get there faster.
Nobody strolls to a marathon finish. You see the end and you actually put on a burst of speed.
I might, but I might too.
But like anybody who's in a marathon is not going to stroll to the finish line.
That's a great example. It's like you're going to put more effort in when you actually see that finish line. The other thing is social media. It's a great way, like I said, to build advocacy with your customers and kind of get that word of mouth marketing going. And then last, customer surveys. If you don't know where you stand with your customers or what they think about you, it's important to understand why your customers chose you and why they keep coming back and what you can do to improve, especially if you're seeing a lot of first-time customers who don't come back. You're going to want to figure out why that is.
Okay. And so I know that a lot of times when people start out, they get really nervous and they're worried about making mistakes.
Right.
And so we always want to dig in and find out what are the most common mistakes so that the folks that are watching won't have to make those mistakes themselves.
Yeah. So the great thing about a digital loyalty program, just like the web, is that really it's kind of like you can change anything, right?
Sure.
So you shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes. It's easy to update.
We're not tattooing loyalty programs on our customers.
No, it's not like you get a point and it goes on your wrist.
Yeah.
But basically, the mistake that we see all the time and that our team works to help coach merchants through is making customers visit too many times in order to receive a low value item. So an example of that would be, don't make customers visit 20 times just for a free cup of coffee or a 5% off. And there's good data behind that, why you want that to happen. So when we look across our network, we see that once a customer redeems a reward at a business, the likelihood that that same customer will return within a month to that business is over 90%. So that's huge, right? And then customers who redeem a reward at a business are going to be retained longer than a customer who doesn't. The other thing is, another mistake that we see is, and I've kind of touched on this, is assuming that they should be investing more in customer acquisition than customer retention, when the truth is they really should be balancing how they're investing in both. They're both important. I know that
you don't want to forget the people who have already said that they want to be your customers. You want to reward them as well.
Absolutely. And then last, and this is what companies like Belly, why we exist, is helping customers understand who their customers even are. A lot of busy businesses they don't know, or they think they know, but it's not logged anywhere. They don't have any data behind it. So not knowing who their customers are or what they're purchasing, it makes it really challenging to run smarter marketing programs because you just don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about the future.
Okay.
I know that technology often makes people nervous because everything seems to change so quickly.
Yeah.
What does the future of customer loyalty look like?
Yeah, so the principles of loyalty really stay the same, right? As a business, you want customers to believe that you are their best option. But what gets challenging is that the channels that customers can buy from you are just becoming way more complex, right? So small businesses should start to think about how these channels will fit together. An example of that would be like if a customer comes in your store and buys something from you there, is that a different experience than if they went and did the e-commerce? If you're a restaurant, what about your online? What about your delivery service? How can you integrate those experiences to really put the customer first and make sure you're rewarding them for their activity based on any activity they're really doing?
We actually talk about this a lot at Google, which is you can't just create a marketing campaign that says, well, the people I reach on TV are different than the people I reach in print, or they're different than the people I reach in radio or online or display or on video. You have to assume that the people you're reaching, you see them across all different mediums, and like you want to have a similar message and you want to make sure that that's a cohesive experience for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be, customers, frankly, are going to demand that too, because that's what companies are focusing on. The big guys are focusing on it. I understand that small businesses don't have those resources, possibly, but having a digital loyalty program, having a modern point of sale system, and having an e-commerce platform that really integrates together is where at least merchants' heads should be at, is starting to plan for the future there.
Okay, so it's the time in our discussion where we start to take some questions from the community.
Okay, fine.
So our first question is from Adhil. Adhil, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much for watching. Is customer loyalty the same thing as CRM?
That's a really good question. So there's definitely overlap between the two, customer loyalty and CRM.
So let's just stop. For those of you who don't know, CRM is customer relationship management software.
Right, absolutely. And so Belly is a way to, I didn't really explain what the product was. So Belly, how it works, to give some context for this question, is if you're a small business owner, you get an iPad that's set up right near your point of sale, right? And customers can check in with either their Belly card or their app, and with an email address.
Yeah, so I check in with my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So in return, the business is then getting that email address, your name, your purchase history. That data that you're collecting about your customer is CRM, right? So you're trying to build that picture of your customer and their activity. Loyalty program, I would say, is the layer on top of it, where once you have that information about your customers, it's another layer to kind of get them to keep returning, and then collecting more data about them. And then there's another layer, which is the marketing layer on top of it, which should integrate with your CRM, your loyalty program.
And does Belly offer integration tools for other popular CRM and marketing platforms?
So it's something we're working. So Belly has a lot of great marketing tools. So that's why we kind of say right now we're kind of a one-stop shop where a customer can actually run their email marketing campaign. They can automate their social media right through Belly. But it's something in the future that we're looking at through our partnership with Apple, which I haven't mentioned, is to integrate with some of these other tools so that they all work seamlessly, making it really easy for the small business owner.
To have to just go to one place where you can run your entire marketing campaign would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have another question from Luke. Hi, Luke. Thanks so much. What makes customers loyal to my brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think the definition is still really, really the same. It's what experience are you providing your customers so that they will continue to choose you and believe that you're their best option. And I know before I was talking about brick and mortar example, but I think the same is true for your brand. What experience or feeling does your brand create that will make someone continue to choose you time and time again? So I really don't see it as being that much of a difference between like a small business brick and mortar versus a brand in general.
Okay. And we have another question from Rich. Hi, Rich. How do you strike a balance between giving an enticing reward without eating into margins too much?
Yeah, so that's a challenge that we work with our small business owners to create. It's important to understand what is the cost of the product that you're giving away, not what the cost is to the customer, but what it is to your business. And we can help you with that. There's other companies out there that can kind of help small businesses understand like what is a good, valuable offer for the customer that also, is not going to bankrupt you as a business, because that's not the goal.
Yeah, I think that we all have to remember that, like, if you can't afford to give the offer, you shouldn't be giving the offer.
Right, and there's a stat that I'm not going to flip through my notes to find, but if you can increase your customer loyalty, I think by like 2%, it's the same effect as like decreasing your costs by 10%. So understanding that even though you may be investing into the rewards, it'll still have the same effect as if you were to decrease costs. So it's just important to understand your business as a whole, and no one understands your business better than you do. So to really look at it holistically to understand, what is a good offer or program that's going to work for me.
Okay, so to sum up for everybody that's watching, if they had to walk away with only the top 3 things that they needed to know about customer loyalty, what would they be?
Yeah, so the first is that if you you own a business or you have a brand, you should start focusing on customer retention from day one, because as we've seen, it's going to put you ahead of your competition, right? The second is if you don't know your customers, you need to start knowing who they are, right? So if you're going to choose to do that through a loyalty program, make sure it's digital, make sure that you're putting your customers first, and start to collect that information about your customers so that you do have the opportunity to bring them back and help them choose you more often. And then the last relates to the future. So just start planning for the future now, right? So we talked about some of these things like how you're going to connect your physical and digital silos between your brand. And I know that it's not going to happen overnight, but at least start to think about what you're going to do to be able to connect those to offer your customers customer is a cohesive experience.
Okay, so that is retention from day one.
Yes.
Digital,
Digital.
putting the customer first.
Yes.
And then start planning for the future now. There's
Start
no
planning now.
better day to start your loyalty program than today.
Maybe I'll start running. Who knows? Yeah.
Lauren, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching. As always, you can find all of our content at g.co/GSBC. And you can follow us at Google Small Business on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google+. Until next time, I'm Rachel Sterling. Thanks so much for joining us here in the Google Small Business community, the place where you go to get the help you need to succeed on the web.